Okay, we continue our topic and try to learn Android Studio Basics using the Kotlin programming language. And today I would like to continue our task. I now need to run it first to look what we have already done. And now, as you see here, we sign in to our app to save our information because we used already Firebase Firestore database. And in our next topic, I would like to introduce the action menu button. For example, on the top one, the settings menu. And later we maybe added some navigation drawer from the left side. And also we need to create like functionality to add it shopping cart because we have shopping fun topic, and I already prepared some REST API simple get function which return some data, and I would like to introduce today how to use the Retrofit library to load data from the API. For example, you will have some data added in some API, you need to load it here. And first implementation of this data will be straightforward using the official documentation. When you have the Retrofit library, you will find the documentation for the Retrofit library using the Java version. But when using Kotlin, basically is the same, it's only the syntax. And as you see here, to use it, we need to make some implementation, we need some libraries, and how to implement this I will show you in the next after we implemented the menu. We will continue to Retrofit library. And now basically we have only the home, and it's not updated. I don't know why it's not updating now. And also we have details, but it's empty at the moment. And maybe instead details we able to create a cart or shopping cart. And we have the shopping, for example, some items. I already prepared some templates for different view because I load some different data instead of those you will see now. And first we need to create our shopping cart and how it looks like. Basically, when you're learning MVVM pattern and after you learned how to implement those steps, it's really easy to implement later. And now basically we have some ID, name, price, and image. For our shopping cart, maybe it's enough. We have price, name, and image. And maybe that's it. And for the item, basically we already have our shopping cart view. And now we need to implement our shopping cart. And I have some template item list adapter, list layout, and basically it's not so bad. Item list adapter, shop list adapter. we have image, we have those two stuff. Okay. Basically, we have home fragment, which is populating data using get items. Get items, populating data using not Firebase. It's using basically the local data. Oh, I need to look into view models. Here we use the shopping cart view is from database, our items, and here we look the locally added data. And if we need to implement load data from the web API, first we need to create API. Best way is to create Firebase project. And if you already added a project, I recommend it for any, I don't know, university applications or for starting to creating APIs instead of learning Node.js or I don't know Java or C# or any environment to create API. Basically, Firebase suggests by default give you API. And when you go into real-time database, and when you have some data added here, for example, you're able to import JSON format. For example, you're creating your own structure of objects. You just import to this real-time database. And when you import it data here, it's automatically adding as a JSON, as you see here. It's lag. Okay, we have array of objects. I already added some objects like a JSON, and when you go to the LT, the root tag, and paste to the browser, and you write only suffix JSON, and you will get the, for example, it's API response, like your whole data from the database, and you have the API reference to work with this later, because we need some data populate from the API here, for example, public API without any authentication, and later we also review with authentication if you have different APIs with limited bandwidth, etc. And when you have the API, basically real time, it's best way to create your own API to have all your APIs. And JSON is JavaScript object notation. Basically, it's key and value. As you see here, key audio and value is some string or some different data. And when you using new Android Studio Retrofit, you need to add some dependencies. And we adding here straight in our environment, and in build Gradle you will find dependencies. Also, you need to update some changes already happened during this week. And now we need to add some dependencies. I already prepared some dependencies in Microsoft file. Basically, we use it Picasso to load the image. Maybe we already added. I'm not sure. Yeah, already added here, as you see, Picasso. We use Picasso retrofit JSON to convert our response from the server to Java or Kotlin classes or list. Converter, it goes when using retrofit, you need to use some converters. How to convert those objects, JSONs, from response. And material, we use in Google Android material library. I see here that we already used some Google.com material. Here is alpha. Here it's final version. Maybe we don't need this. And when you sync your project, you will get those dependencies. And when you get those dependencies, we able to start working. Basically, we have the object which have only audio, description, model, poster, title. We need to create our item. Here is electronic devices or gadgets with some description, audio, image, and 3D model. And today we try to display those three. The different audio, 3D model, and image and text. And now we need to create our model. To create our model, we need to think which name we give here. Device. For example, device. And we maybe create the data class to get more functionality. And here we need to add all. As you see before, we need we may be creating like this. Class device wall is audio. I suggest to make it same names because you don't need to write different. If you write different name, you need to add it some annotation. It's realize name, and here like name audio. If you use different variable. Instead of this, I recommend that you use straight the real name from response. Wall description. Oh, it's string. Sorry. Why is wall? Because we're not changing those values. It's not a problem if we're using wall. Wall model is string equals empty, and we need empty values because in Java or in any libraries, retrofit also written in Java, and it not understand the not nullable types. And if Kotlin is not nullable type, there is no chance to get the null values. For that reason, you need to initialize those all values. Because it's Kotlin different language, if you're using the Java, it's not a problem if you leave the empty stuff because it supports null type. When you're reading some data, you'll get some data, or null or some data. If you leave the empty, it's not null. You need to initialize those values. And all poster. But you need to initialize those values only if you're working with some, for example, now API. If you're creating your own app, you don't need it because you're able to initialize later. Well, model poster is also string. And wall title also string. And we implement our model device. Now the next step is when we have our model created, we need, of course, API link for later usage, and now we're moving forward. And as we working with design pattern or when MVVM, we know the structure. We need a repository, we need view model, we need fragment adapters if we're creating some views like list or recycle view. And basically now we creating our shop item view like here, but we creating for device objects loaded from the network. And now we're not mixing those objects in the same view. We're creating the separate view and display devices from the network. Basically, if you create it, if you're using the template, as I show how to use it, you'll find it in internet, the template for recycle view. It's easier and faster to create this recycle view. And we creating our devices maybe list adapter. Model class is device. Maybe better it's device list adapter. Device class and device view holder, and we will get device list item. Here is class for the list adapter, model, view holder, and item or list item layout. And we need to import our device. When you're importing, you need to implement only on click events and bind. For device callback, item callback, it's optimize your performance. You need to implement some functionality like old item, and if you have some ID, I don't have any ID, I'm just using some audio. New item, audio, okay. Here is for optimize, not repeating the same item again. Equals new item. If you have the same content, you will optimize your recycle view. Okay, we need Alt Enter import our R class. R class holding all the resources. And as you see here, we need to create our layout for device list item. And in the code section, I will paste some layout for our display. Already prepared some template. Of course, it's a bit long, but I use this as a template because I take you're able to find this template basically if you're using material design. Material IO, you'll find material design best practices. And here I already take this code, and as you see here, you're able to copy this code if you would like to create a card like this in Android Studio. Elevated card, title, secondary text description, some action 1 and action 2. Okay, and in Designer it looks like this. As you see here, we have title, secondary text, and those names. It will see model image, model title, model description, model play sound, model viewed 3D, model add to cart. Basically our template for the single item. We also need to add some icons. If you need to use the icons from Android, we adding using drawable package. We click the new and vector access, and here you'll find some, for example, 360. Oh, it's maybe 3D rotation. Maybe that one is better. We add a 3D rotation. I already used here, and we adding new vector asset volume. Because I didn't find the sound, I'm use the volume up symbol. Okay, here for our audio 3D model and add to cart functionality. Basically here is layout, and you need to add some IDs. Model image, maybe I changed device image, device title, device description, device play sound button, device views 3D button, device add to cart button. Okay, we already have our IDs. We have the template for the single item, and now we need to random problem, doesn't matter. We need to implement our adapter to bind some data. We have the device list item added here, and we need to bind some data. When you're binding data, you're able, if using Kotlin language, using Kotlin extensions, you're able to reach these IDs directly using item view link, and you're able to get our device. For example, device title, item view, device description, item view, and of course we're not able to set image directly. For that reason, we use Picasso library to load our image from the network. It's really a great library. Load, and you're able to load our item or device poster into item view dot device image. We loading to the image view our device image. Now we added some text to the title. Text equal item title. Description equals item description. Okay. Also, we need to implement functionality for the click events. And the best way is to use the same interaction interface, which is already added here. We add only few more items. Oh, sorry. And init is constructor block. When you're creating object, you initialize this block automatically, init function. Item view button play sound. This. Oh, sorry. Set on click listener. This. Item view dot device view 3D button. Item view device add to cart. Okay, set on click listener. You're able to create different interfaces, but there is no point because we have single recycle view. And when you're initializing those objects, listeners, you need to check later which item you clicked. And now we need to create our functionality. In Kotlin, we need to interface create those functions. Fun, play sound, which takes device. Fun, play sound, view 3D model, device. Fun, add to cart device. And if you need to able edit also fun item clicked. Basically, when you click on item, you're able to do different functionality. We have the on item click basically when you click the single item, just when you're clicking on the recycle view item. When you click on the play button, and view 3D button, and add to cart button, we have three buttons here. First, second, and that one. And when you're clicking on this cell on basically on the list on this item, you're able to move it, I don't know, in deeper for more details, so it doesn't matter. On item click is here event. Or just when you're clicking here, we on item click. If you clicked into integrated into a view in the child component like buttons as I show here, you're able to do different interactions. And now we move to the device list here. And now we need to implement those on item or initialize those functions. And if you leave it on click method, you will get some problems because you execute all those functions. And basically we need to implement case or switch case stuff here. In Kotlin there is no switch. Instead of switch we're using when. Because when view it equals to device play sound. We do something. When item view device view 3D item view device add to cart, and item view dot, or no, we doesn't have any view when we click on item, else. And we have three different situations. When you click on something, we calling some function, and here basically we're calling interaction play sound, and device is item from here, because you get current item. Click this means get adapter position, it's current item. Interaction dot device view 3D model. Clicked, because we need to pass device object. Interaction dot add to cart. Clicked, and basically by default will be interaction dot on item clicked. And here we implemented our functionality for click item. We initialize it here in init block, and we bind it to our cycle viewer to the list. And that reason why we need those adapters. And we implemented our device list adapter. Now we need to create our, I don't know how to call it, retrofit object, because when using library we need to create a retrofit object. And basically the best way I found it is to create a retrofit object. I don't know how to call it, but at first when you implement an API you need to create, for example, new package API, and we implementing, for example, our API using retrofit. You need to create interface. For network call you need to write methods in interface. Device API, for example. For instance, you need to call the get method because we already got some API which returns retrofit object. And to make this call you need to use your library retrofit here, and as you see here we need to call like get annotation, like we call in get. We pathing the path, and for our case our path is here. Base URL address here. If we have different API endpoint names, as you see here, LT-JSON. LT-JSON means here our path. Here. And now we need to write our function fun get device list. For example, get device list here. And this function should return our call. Why we need call? Because we have the network call, and we need to call a synchronous or asynchronous, sync or async call. For that reason, you need to use the call, return the call, like calling, not blocking your main thread. You need to call synchronous or asynchronous. For that reason, using our retrofit library, and here is a C call list user, for example. And here is Java, here is Kotlin. We need to return our list of items, and our items is devices. That's it for our API call. We got the get call. If you need to post, delete, patch, or etc., you will find documentation inside this documentation retrofit. Here is more functionality. And now we let it here as we finished. We have only device list. And now maybe instead of retrofit instance, I will create repository calls, for example, device repository, because it's not repository maybe, but it's quite similar to repository functionality. And in our case, we need to create some constant for base URL address. Const val base URL address. And we need to copy our address. For base URL address, we don't need that path, because we have our API endpoint address, base URL address. And after this, we able to create a retrofit object. Private val, it recommends to create a retrofit object using by lazy keyword. And if you're not creating this instance, you're not wasting the memory. For that reason, we're using the lazy keyword. And here we use our retrofit builder. For retrofit builder, we adding base real address. We adding converter factory, because we need convert using some factory. We're using JSON. Great. And we just building. Basically, here use builder design pattern from the Java language. It's and when you write the Java code in Kotlin, it's really the same as the Java code, as you see here. And if you're using the Java, you will see the same code, this one, because here is basically Java code. Now we need to get this instance. Why we need this instance? We're able to call in two ways. We're able to call API or to instance, like get instance. I stay with API, for example. API, and we got API which name is device API. And we already also use not also but lazy initialization and retrofit dot create, and we need to pass our API class reflection, because we're using the reflections, and this library using reflection for our case, because it takes our interface and magically implements. Because when you're adding interface, you think that it's That's it here. But how it's working, because it takes this list and automatically creates functionality in background. We never know how it's working, but when you're using this, you need to pass as a reflection to our retrofit object creation to library to help to create or initialize background work. We don't need to do more with this interface. And we passing our model API. API was device API.class Java. Here is the reason why its interface working, because it takes basically that method declaration, and by this declaration it knows how to implement this interface. And we created our device repository, or here it's more like device retrofit instance, but it's really quite similar to this, because later we're calling device API. Yeah, and for that reason, I don't know, I'm just leave it here, device repository API. After this, when you have the instance, we have the functionality for our click events, and we need to create our view model. And for view model, we creating separate class, new Kotlin. It will be device view model. Sorry, device view model, and we creating device view model which extends view model. And here we need to implement our functionality for data reading from network, call from network. And in our case, we creating the list of, we creating mutable this list, wall list, field as meta list or any different name, and it's mutable live data, which is list of device. Alt enter, importing, and it equals mutable live data. We initializing our list. If you would like to initialize later, we're able to initialize later using late init keyword, or we're able to initialize like this. Or if you would like, able to split it in its block. That means you initialize it during the object creation. For example, you have late init or lazy, and able to initialize list equals mutable live date, like this. Unnecessary initializing constructors. Yeah, it's, as you see here, it's no point to initializing the constructor. And better to create wall instead var, because you not need to change this list reference. And now we need to create our function which returns our list fun get device list. And this function should return live data, and this live data will be a list of devices. In our case, we need to call retrofit network call. How to do this? We calling the repo. Able to create like, I don't know, wall repository. And this repository will be our device repository. It's equal device repository, sorry, because here it's singleton, we're not able to initialize or create any objects. We just using the object. And why I written here? Because it's easier maybe to read it. Repository, and easier to work when you have a lot of repository later. I don't know, it's you're able to call like this here, or just initialize and later call like this. API get device list, and basically we able to call async call enqueue, and we need to pass object callback, and we need retrofit callback. Okay. Object callback. I need autocomplete here because it's really hard to remember. Object, oh sorry, maybe it was here. Anonymous class, callback. Oh, it was some suggestion. Create extension functional. Oh yeah, like this. On response and on failure. It's hard to remember. Here is reason why some functionality using retrofit later, maybe next lecture, we see different implementation, because here it's using Java language, and when using the Java implementation in Kotlin, it looks like really strange, and it's really similar as a Java functions. For that reason, you will see really a lot of boilerplate, and it's not easy to understand and read this stuff. For this, using some suspend function or Kotlin coroutines, but instead of this, today we use the basic implementation when you read documentation from retrofit, and later we will see different implementation using Kotlin coroutines. But we at the moment doesn't know how it looks like, those coroutines. We just leave like this. And here we're able to return our list. And here, if response is okay, we returning something. Basically, you're able to check here if response is successful or any other stuff, else not successful. And here also you need to call something. If response is successful, you need to post your body. List post, because here you posting the body, and body will be response dot body. Sorry. If you're using background working with mutable live data, you need to use post value. If you're not using not background, you're using the value like this. And maybe I leave like this to show the difference, and maybe we see some difference. I'm not sure now. And list value null. Right. Okay. And list value also. Oh, sorry. List value equals null. Basically, why I need this, because if fail, I'm just returning null, not adding anything, or adding null. And if I get something, we returning a response to our case is our API call, like this object or this list of objects. What's suggesting here? Oh, private, okay. Private repo, and we implemented our network call for get device list, and we are returning live data. We already returning our case list of items, but I would like to display list of items using network call our devices. And we go to our home fragment. We need to implement our view model, private late init, and we use our device view model. In our case, device view model, we got this implementation. And now instead item view model, we need to create also some adapter. I'm just copy those functionality. Oh, I don't need to copy. Need to create only val device list adapter. Device list adapter. Oh, here it's device list adapter. Device list adapter by lazy. Okay, by lazy. And we creating our device list adapter and passing this interaction. Also, we using interaction for our device clicks. I'm not sure which is device one. Device list adapter interaction. And in our device list interaction, we have a lot of functionality. Maybe I remove this shop list interaction and remove this function. Basically, you have the empty no functions from here, and we implement members, which is on item click, play sound, view 2D model, add to cart, those functions. When we need to implement those stuff. And maybe I'm remove this item view, and here instead item view I write device view model and device view model class. And we have our only devices. And for recycle view, we need to initialize our device view model. Get not items, get device list, observe, because we need to update live data, using, and instead of shop list adapter we passing device list adapter, and here we passing device list adapter. I'm just leave the same functionality for the home because I would like to display different data for our app. And this data is from the network call from our API. What's wrong here? No. Couldn't resolve content description. Okay, we got some bugs. We go to the code. Oh, it's okay. Description media. Description. Title. Title. Secondary text. Secondary. Okay, we already have all those bugs fixed. And we need to run our app. And we changed our home fragment which runs some data from network after signing into our app. I think that this app is already have some issues with some stuff. Maybe I've okay. We go to check what's wrong here. Maybe we need some internet added. Okay. We go to our home fragment to do. Maybe we need to go to our repository and device view model, maybe here. If we call directly device repository. Is any difference here? Oh, we need to change maybe those posts. Instead of value, we need to leave like post, response body, and here post value null and dot post value null. Try to check like this. Home fragment. Oh, it's recycle view, different one. Sorry. We go to the home fragment first, of course. Instead shop recycle view, we use our recycle view. And oh no, maybe it's okay. Where is that? Shop recycle view is for fragment home. Oh yeah, fragment home, it's okay. Shop recycle view, it's also okay. Yeah, it's recycle view, it's really not important. And home, we got some problems. Why it's displaying here. API, device class, retrofit. No static method repository. Maybe we're creating the class. And here we create companion objects. Or get instance return. Or just try to create like this. I would try to create like this. Sorry, we need to comment this. Device repository. Where we created this view model. Device repository, get instance dot create, and here we adding our device API dot class. Class Java. Here it's really not a big difference, but we just try. Okay, if we rotating, no, we crashing. Okay. Maybe some problems with this app already. Okay. Before, now controller, some problems with now controller. Okay. Okay, if we try to call in home fragment, again, device view model, get device list. Device list adapter, adapters of data. One. No, it's crashing. I don't know why. No static methods. I don't know what's wrong is going on here. Maybe some bugs with. Okay, we have our device. We have our API. Where is our API? Here. We get device list calling the function get device list. Okay. After we calling the function, we implementing repository or just device instance. I think we need to create new app and just copy this functionality. We creating empty activity, my application, and just we copy this functionality and try to check it. Okay. We copy the dependencies and those 4 dependencies. Okay, we're adding here sync now. We copy, for example, device list item, copy. Device list item, adding here, okay. We adding into our main activity, we adding recycle view, okay. Or just we make it as recycle view. Vertex recycle view. As you see here, we have recycle view. Cycle view. recycle view. Now we copy our device adapter API, device repository, device view model. Okay, we copy this. White fragment home here. We don't need this. Okay. We have our device or models. We need model. Copy model. Device we need to import. Wrong one. Device API, device list adapter. We need to remove those wrong ones. We need to add our Gradle Kotlin extensions from the Gradle script. Top one, Kotlin extensions. Okay. Oh, it's like this. Sync now. And we just implemented Kotlin extensions to use directly get those values. Okay, we got device list adapter. We got our device repository. We need import device. And we got the same functionality here. And now we need to implement our recycle view. And to implement our recycle view, we taking home fragment. Okay. We taking recycle view and this functionality to implement our list population. And we need to create late init var device view model, device view model. We need a view model provider. We need to add also some dependency for view model provider. Oh, it's this one. And navigation. Okay, I'm just copy those dependencies. And adding like here. Maybe it's enough for our case. Now it's working. We adding observer and we need to use this instead view cycle because here it's activity. And instead of shopping, we're using recycle view. Basically the same functionality, we just copied from our, we don't have any interaction from our device list adapter and add those functions, all those 4 functions. Okay. need to wait a bit, because here some magic happens when crashing app. We're not sure it's app fault or our implementation now. And now we need to device list item to add some also strings A, B, and C. C. Volume up, rotation, and shopping cart. We need to add those drawables. New vector, volume. Next, finish. New vector. We need 3D rotation, okay, and shopping cart. Shopping cart here. Oh, misclicked. Shopping. Next, finish. Okay, we already added those. We should now find BC. Yeah, it was problem with app. I don't know what's wrong here, because before lecture we already got some errors, and as you see here, we loaded some data from our from network. Here maybe we don't need this. We just run again. Yeah, and now when we click, we're not getting anything here because we got to do. And on item click, we don't need anything. We need play sound, view 3D model, and add to cart. For view 3D model, it's really you need a real device, because an emulator you not get this functionality. Not working sometimes. And to view 3D model, it's really not so hard to implement. I already have the lines from the documentation. And oh, it's not here. View 3D model. Okay, not here. Oh, it's here. Okay, it's open your 3D model in browser. You need only add this functionality here. And as you see here, it's from documentation. You need explicit intent, which is open another browser. Here it's URI to Steam Viewer to view your models for AR mode, augmented reality, or basic model. And when you have the device, we passing model, device model. Because our API have some device 3D models, that reason I'm just using device model. And here basically the same to show your device 3D model. There is other implementation ways able to implement to load 3D model using only 2 lines of code. To play sound, you need some To play sound, I close the shop now because it's buggy app. I already added some functionality how to play sound. Basically, all that functionality found in documentation, and it's really not so hard when you Google in developersandroid.com. And here just how to play your media sound, because we have less time left for our lecture. I'm just copy here instead of writing something. Device audio, URL address, we use the media player, which is default from Android Studio, and we just starting when we're ready. Of course, to prepare calling not async, you will able to wait a lot of till the sound it's appear, and add to cart to implement maybe the next lecture and that this functionality. And we try to run it using, oh, I need to add my phone first. Okay, it's connected. And now we need, instead of emulator, we need visor. Okay, view. And as you see here, we got our phone. And when I running our program on phone, you will see some result. Okay, remember choice install. And we got the same view in my phone. I able to play sound. Oh, it's as you hear. Yeah, if you hear some sound, it's playing sound. We got our 3D view. When you click it here, you're running 3D model in your device and able to resize it, rotating, and etc. And of course, I don't show you now. You're able to view in your space. It's AR mode. It's now on the ground, and be able to add this item to your space and make the photo. Here's default functionality from Steam Viewer, and be able to see any 3D models from the web, from the network, also in your Android device. And basically this functionality is from network. Later we add another functionality, add to cart, show the icon here and display the menu when you clicking here onto the cart and etc. And as you see here, sorry for my app not working as intended. I will share this and add in the video description down below. Maybe I'm able to share like this. Working example with network call. Oh, it's already wrong name. Okay, repository name will be retrofit usage Android, for example. Okay, we're adding like this, and I will share this later. Be able to download and to see this example in your case to use how to implement. See here, you will find implementation of this functionality. And okay, then thank you for your attention. Goodbye.